If you thought hip-hop drama couldn't get any messier, think again. Because what just surfaced didn't come from a diss track, it came from a DNA test. This is Hood Files, where loyalty dies quietly and secrets explode loud. According to claims spreading faster than screenshots, Blueface didn't just suspect betrayal. He allegedly leaked DNA results that flipped the entire narrative upside down. Results that, according to him, prove Chrisean Rock's baby isn't his. And that's when one name started erupting online. Pooh Shiesty. The internet couldn't believe it. And trust me, you won't either. Fans started connecting dots nobody wanted connected. Old hotel rumors, deleted posts, silent timelines. And suddenly, a private situation turned into a public war. Was this betrayal? Was this a setup? Or was the truth hiding in plain sight the whole time? Because let's be real. In a world where screenshots replace alibis and silence speaks louder than statements, nothing leaks by accident. So ask yourself this. If you were in this position, same humiliation, same pressure, same cameras waiting, what would you do? Bro said too much and now everything's out. Let's break it all down, because trust me, it gets uglier from here. The night this story truly began didn't start with a leak. It didn't start with a post. It didn't even start with a rumor. It started with silence. The kind of silence that feels heavier than noise. The kind that tells you something is wrong before anyone says a word. Blueface had gone quiet. And for someone known for chaos, unpredictability, and public blowups, that quiet was unsettling. People close to him noticed it immediately. Fewer calls, short replies, long pauses. When someone who usually lives out loud suddenly retreats inward, it's rarely peace. It's preparation. For months leading up to this moment, the relationship between Blueface and Chrisean Rock had been a spectacle. Fights that went viral. Reconciliations that felt temporary. Promises that sounded sincere until the next headline hit. Fans were used to the volatility. They treated it like content, like episodes in a never-ending series. But behind the screens, things were changing. Trust was thinning. Patience was running out. And what looked like drama to the outside world was starting to feel like a reckoning on the inside. Chrisean Rock was carrying more than just public attention. She was carrying pressure from every direction. Fans dissected her every move. Critics judged her every decision. Supporters claimed they understood her. But understanding is shallow when it comes from strangers. The spotlight never dimmed, and when you live long enough under that kind of light, it distorts reality. Attention starts to feel like safety. Familiarity starts to feel like loyalty. And lines that once felt clear begin to blur without warning. Then there was Pooh Shiesty. His name wasn't supposed to be anywhere near this type of story. His public image wasn't built on mess or social media theatrics. It was built on restraint, perception, and a certain street-coded seriousness that doesn't usually mix with celebrity love triangles. That's exactly why his name entering the conversation later would hit so hard. Because when someone unexpected appears in a narrative like this, people don't assume coincidence. They assume intention. The first cracks didn't show up in headlines. They showed up in patterns. Fans noticed before blogs did. They always do. Mutual locations posted hours apart. Stories uploaded from suspiciously similar backdrops. Likes that lingered a little too long. Comments that felt a little too comfortable. At first, it was dismissed as internet paranoia. The kind of speculation that flares up and burns out overnight. But this didn't burn out. It grew legs. Screenshots started circulating quietly in group chats. Nothing conclusive, just enough to raise eyebrows. Timestamps circled in red. Location compared side by side. Why they both here? That don't look random. Ain't this where he's staying? The whisper stayed contained at first, but whispers don't stay quiet for long when curiosity gets involved, especially when the names attached carry weight. Blueface saw it too, and instead of reacting the way people expected, he didn't say a word. No posts, no captions, no subliminals. Just silence. People who know him know that silence is never accidental. It's strategic. It's the calm before something shifts. Friends reportedly noticed a change in his energy. Less reactive, more observant. When someone stops arguing and starts watching, it usually means they're done guessing. Behind closed doors, conversations were happening. Questions were being asked that didn't have easy answers. Trust was being tested without anyone admitting it out loud. Chrisean Rock, caught between public pressure and private confusion, reportedly felt isolated. When everyone thinks they know your story, you start feeling alone even in crowded rooms. And isolation is dangerous. It makes you vulnerable to comfort that feels harmless in the moment but devastating later. Meanwhile, the internet was warming up. Reaction pages started hinting, without naming names, this about to get messy. Y'all gonna see soon. Blogs hesitated. They waited. They wanted something solid. Fans didn't wait. They started building the story themselves. And once the internet starts writing a narrative, it rarely waits for facts to catch up. The setting that would later become infamous was never meant to matter. A hotel, temporary, neutral, a place people still foolishly believe offers privacy. It doesn't. Not anymore. Not when hallways have cameras and phones never sleep. According to people close to the situation, the meetup that night wasn't framed as anything serious. Casual, low-key, the kind of moment that's supposed to pass quietly. Those are usually the moments that change everything. What matters isn't how Blueface arrived, but why. He didn't show up looking for answers. He showed up looking for confirmation. There's a difference. When you go somewhere already bracing for impact, you're not hoping to be wrong. You're preparing to be proven right. And when that door opened, whatever he saw didn't bring clarity. It brought shock. Details from that moment remain inconsistent, and that's telling. Some say there was yelling. Others insist it was eerily quiet. The only thing every version agrees on is the tension, the kind that freezes time, the kind that makes your chest tighten before your mind catches up. No cameras caught it in real time, no live stream, no immediate leaks, just a moment that everyone involved would later wish didn't exist. But moments don't stay contained anymore. Within hours, the internet started moving. Cryptic tweets surfaced. Some doors shouldn't be opened. Certain things can't be unseen. This about to get ugly. No names were mentioned, but everyone knew. By the time people woke up the next morning, speculation had hardened into belief, not because proof existed, but because the narrative felt right to those watching from the outside. Blueface was trending. Chrisean Rock's comments were flooded. And when Pooh Shiesty's name began appearing alongside theirs, the tone shifted. This wasn't just celebrity drama anymore. This felt heavier, more dangerous. Fans started digging. Old interviews resurfaced. Lyrics were reanalyzed. Past interactions that once meant nothing were suddenly framed as foreshadowing. Everything became evidence. Silence from all sides made things worse. People read into every absence. In internet culture, silence isn't neutrality. It's interpreted as guilt, strategy, or fear depending on who's reading it. And once belief takes hold, it spreads faster than facts ever could. The story was no longer about what happened in that room. It was about what people thought happened. And belief is far more powerful online than truth. Behind the scenes, lines were being drawn. Loyalty checks were happening quietly. Phone calls that didn't include everyone. People choosing sides without making announcements. Because situations like this don't just test relationships. They expose them. They reveal who moves with you when things get uncomfortable and who disappears when pressure shows up. What started as whispers had now turned into something with weight. Something with consequences. And just when it seemed like the chaos might slow down, something else began surfacing. Not a statement, not a video, but the first hint that this story was about to shift from rumors to something far more personal. Something that would change the conversation entirely. Because what came next wasn't about loyalty or betrayal anymore. It was about proof. By the time the second phase of the story unfolded, the atmosphere had already changed. What once felt like messy speculation was now starting to feel calculated, intentional. The kind of shift where rumors stop floating and start landing. Because this time, the conversation wasn't about who was seen where or who liked whose post. It was about proof, or at least what was being presented as proof. The first mention of a DNA test didn't come from a press release or a legal filing. It surfaced the way most modern scandals do, through whispers, screen recordings, and half-confirmed claims passed around like contraband. A few accounts posted vague captions. "This ain't just talk anymore. Receipts about to change everything." At first, people rolled their eyes. The internet loves exaggeration. But then one detail kept repeating across unrelated pages. A DNA test, allegedly leaked, allegedly showing results nobody expected. That's when the narrative snapped into a new shape. According to claims circulating online, Blueface had access to information that shifted his silence from strategy to offense. The story being told wasn't that he suspected something anymore. It was that he believed he had confirmation. And confirmation changes how people move. Silence stops being protection and starts becoming pressure. Screenshots began appearing that allegedly referenced lab results. No official documents. No visible names. Just cropped images, blurred headers, and highlighted percentages. Enough to suggest authenticity. Not enough to verify. But verification isn't the internet's priority. Believability is. And these images felt believable to a lot of people. They looked technical, clinical, serious. Nothing like the messy screenshots fans were used to seeing. Reaction pages ran with it carefully at first. Allegedly, according to sources, unconfirmed reports suggest. But once one account posted, dozens followed. Commentary channels jumped in, analyzing fonts, layouts, timelines. People argued over whether the documents looked real or staged. That debate didn't slow the spread. It accelerated it. Controversy always does. The most explosive part wasn't even the test itself. It was the implication. If the claims were true, it meant Chrisean Rock's pregnancy, something fans had already been emotionally invested in, was now being questioned publicly. And once pregnancy enters a conversation, emotions spike. Sympathy clashes with suspicion. Protection instincts collide with judgment. The audience doesn't stay neutral. Supporters rush to Chrisean's defense. They called the leak cruel, manipulative, unnecessary. They argued that even if questions existed, they didn't belong online. Critics took the opposite stance. They framed the alleged leak as a response to betrayal, as a man defending himself against public humiliation. Two sides formed almost instantly, and neither was interested in nuance. Then came the name that sent everything over the edge. As fans dissected timelines and speculated about possibilities, Pooh Shiesty's name started trending in connection with the alleged results. Not because he made a statement, not because he posted anything, but because the internet filled in gaps the story created. If the baby wasn't Blueface, people asked, then whose was it? And once that question exists, someone will always get dragged into the answer. Old hotel rumors resurfaced. Clips from weeks earlier were reposted with new captions. Y'all remember this? This hit different now. A single frame from an old video was slowed down and zoomed in on. A background reflection. A voice in the distance. Nothing definitive. Everything suggestive. And that was enough. Sarcasm flooded timelines. Because nothing screams loyalty like a leaked DNA test. Guess Maury went digital. Memes masked something darker underneath. People weren't just laughing. They were assigning blame. And once blame is assigned publicly, it sticks whether it's fair or not. Blogs escalated cautiously. They avoided direct accusations, but leaned heavily into the narrative. Fans speculate. Online users believe. Sources close to the situation claim. Each headline added weight without adding clarity. And clarity wasn't coming from the people involved. Blueface posted, but not directly. A short caption. Vague. Cold. Something that implied awareness without explanation. It didn't deny anything. It didn't confirm anything. But it told the audience one thing clearly. He knew what people were saying, and he wasn't backing down from it. That post alone sent engagement through the roof. Sometimes saying less does more damage than saying everything. Chrisean Rock's response was emotional, not factual. Cryptic messages about pressure, pain, and feeling attacked. Some interpreted it as deflection. Others saw it as hurt. Both interpretations fueled the fire. Every emoji became a theory. Every deleted post became evidence. That's the cost of living online. You lose control of your own narrative the moment silence and emotion mix. Meanwhile, Pooh Shiesty's camp remained silent. No posts, no denials, no explanations. To supporters, that silence signaled confidence. To critics, it signaled guilt. In street-adjacent culture, silence is rarely read as neutrality. It's read as calculation. And calculation scares people more than loud reactions. Then came another alleged twist. Claims of private conversations. Messages exchanged behind the scenes. Anonymous accounts suggested money had been discussed. Not proven, not documented, but whispered. And whispers of money are dangerous. Because once finances enter a scandal, credibility collapses quickly. People don't ask for receipts. They assume motive. Reaction channels leaned into it. Nothing screams innocence like late-night transfers. The sarcasm was relentless. And while some viewers questioned the validity of these claims, many didn't care. The story had already crossed a threshold. It was no longer about whether something happened. It was about how bad it looked. Behind the scenes, the pressure intensified. According to insiders, people urged restraint. Lawyers advised silence. Friends suggested letting the storm pass. But storms like this don't pass on their own. They need distraction or sacrifice. And neither had happened yet. The most unsettling part was how fast this had escalated. What started as hotel rumors had turned into a full-blown identity crisis played out in public. Questions about fatherhood, trust, motives, intent. Everything was being debated by people with no stake except entertainment. And that kind of scrutiny breaks people in different ways. Then, just as the narrative seemed locked in, another detail surfaced. Not a document, not a post, but a shift in behavior that insiders said confirmed something was very wrong. Meetings canceled, appearances pulled, communications slowed to a crawl. That kind of retreat doesn't happen unless damage has already been done. The internet noticed. It always does. And that's when people realized this wasn't just about a leak test or trending names anymore. This was about fallout, about consequences, about what happens after belief hardens and reputations take hits they can't undo. Because once the story reaches this stage, there's no going back to normal. And just when everyone thought the worst had already been exposed, something else started brewing quietly behind the scenes. Something that would force everyone involved to make a choice. Speak up and risk escalation, or stay silent and let the internet decide their fate. The aftermath didn't arrive with sirens or statements. It arrived with distance. The kind that settles in quietly and changes everything without asking permission. Phones stopped lighting up. Inner circles tightened. People who were once everywhere suddenly became unreachable. And that kind of silence doesn't come from peace. It comes from caution. Those close to Blueface noticed it first. He pulled back in a way that felt intentional, not emotional. Studio sessions were postponed. Public appearances quietly canceled. Not dramatic, not announced, just gone. When someone known for loud reactions chooses restraint, it usually means they're thinking about consequences instead of clout. He didn't look broken. He looked focused. And that unsettled people more than anger ever could. Chrisean Rock, meanwhile, seemed to be unraveling in public while holding herself together privately. Her posts came in waves. Emotional, conflicting. One moment she hinted at growth and peace. The next, she alluded to betrayal and pressure. Fans couldn't tell if they were watching healing or collapse. That uncertainty became part of the spectacle. Every caption was dissected. Every deleted post treated like an admission. When your emotions become evidence, there's no safe way to speak. People close to her reportedly urged her to step away for a while. Log off, breathe, protect herself. But disappearing can look like confession in the court of public opinion. And staying visible can feel like self-sabotage. That's the trap of living under a spotlight that never turns off. No move is neutral. Everything is interpreted. Pooh Shiesty remained the most guarded of all. No emotional posts. No cryptic messages. Just absence. Supporters framed it as maturity. Critics framed it as avoidance. Those familiar with his background saw something else entirely: control. When you've lived through real consequences, internet noise doesn't scare you. Escalation does. And everything about the situation hinted at the possibility of things moving beyond screens. Rumors began circulating about private conversations taking place away from public view. Neutral parties stepping in. Trusted intermediaries trying to cool things down before they boiled over. No one wanted this to spiral into something irreversible. Pride had already done enough damage. Once pride takes the wheel, logic disappears. The industry watched closely. Labels hate unpredictability. Sponsors hate controversy. And this situation was radioactive. Quietly, opportunities paused. Calls went unanswered. Deals were reconsidered. Not because anything had been proven, but because association alone felt risky. That's the unspoken truth of scandal. You don't need to be guilty to lose momentum. You just need to be loud at the wrong time. Online, the audience split into camps. Some demanded accountability. Others called for empathy. A smaller group questioned the entire narrative. Was this really what it looked like? Or had the internet once again taken fragments and built a monster? Those voices were drowned out quickly. Outrage travels faster than nuance. Always has. Behind the scenes, regret reportedly began surfacing. Not publicly. Privately. People close to all sides allegedly admitted things moved too fast. Boundaries blurred. Assumptions replaced conversations. Pride blocked clarity. But regret doesn't rewind timelines. It doesn't erase screenshots. And it doesn't calm an audience already invested in a downfall arc. What made the situation heavier was a realization that nobody truly won. Blueface gained sympathy but lost peace. Chrisean gained attention but lost ability. Pooh Shiesty kept control but gained suspicion. Every outcome came with a cost, and those costs linger longer than trending topics ever do. As days passed, the noise slowly faded, not because anything was resolved, but because the internet moved on to the next spectacle. That's how it always goes. But for those involved, nothing snapped back to normal. Trust was fractured, circles shifted, and the understanding that one moment can redefine everything never left. Some fans framed the silence as growth. Others called it avoidance. The truth likely sat somewhere in between. When situations expose how fragile reputations are, people either evolve or retreat, sometimes both. What was clear was that lines had been crossed that couldn't be uncrossed. The most unsettling part was how preventable it all felt in hindsight. A conversation that didn't happen. A boundary that wasn't set. A decision made in a moment that outweighed years of progress. That's how most downfalls begin, not with explosions, but with small choices that seem harmless at the time. No official statements ever tied everything together neatly. No receipts confirmed every rumor. No confession gave closure. And that might be the most realistic part of this entire story. Real life doesn't offer endings. It offers distance. It offers silence. And it leaves people to fill in the blanks with whatever helps them sleep at night. Eventually, Chrisean stepped back from the spotlight. Not announced, just noticed. Blueface resurfaced later, more guarded than before. Pooh Shiesty continued moving the way he always had, unaffected on the surface. Change beneath it. The internet archived the scandal and labeled it another chapter in hip-hop chaos. But for anyone paying attention, it was more than that. It was a reminder of how fast narratives form, how quickly loyalty is tested, and how unforgiving public perception can be. Celebrity doesn't protect you from consequences. It amplifies them. This story didn't end with sirens or headlines. It ended with space, with things unsaid, with relationships permanently altered. And maybe that's the most haunting outcome of all. No dramatic finale. No redemption speech. Just a quiet understanding that some doors, once opened, can never be closed again. She vanished without a trace. But the secret stayed. So now the question isn't what happened in that room. The real question is what happens after the cameras leave. Because moments like this don't disappear. They sit in people's heads. They change how trust works. They rewrite relationships. And they remind everyone watching just how fast everything can collapse when pride, perception, and pressure collide. Think about it. One night, one decision, and suddenly careers feel shaky, loyalties feel questionable, and silence feels louder than any explanation ever could. The internet already picked its villains. It already chose its sides. But the truth, the full truth, almost never makes it online. And that's where you come in. If you were in that position, same betrayal, same pressure, same spotlight, would you have reacted differently? Would you have spoken out, stayed silent, walked away, or doubled down? Because it's easy to judge from the outside. It's harder when your name is trending and everyone thinks they know your story. Now here's the part nobody likes to talk about, because this is where it stops being entertainment and starts being uncomfortable. What you just heard wasn't just another hip-hop scandal. It wasn't just leaked screenshots, trending names, or internet chaos. It was a reminder how fast narratives are built, how brutally loyalty is tested, and how little control people really have once the internet decides it owns a story. One rumor turns into a belief. One leak turns into a verdict. And silence, whether intentional or not, becomes the loudest statement of all. So now the real question isn't who was right or wrong. The real question is this. If you were in that position, same betrayal, same pressure, same spotlight, what would you have done differently? Would you have spoken out and risked making it worse? Would you have stayed silent and let strangers write your story? Or would you have walked away and accepted that some damage can't be undone? Because that's the part nobody prepares you for. There's no reset button, no clean ending, just consequences that linger long after the timeline moves on. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Not the easy takes, the honest ones. Who do you think handled this wrong? Who do you think played it smart? And do you think this was blown out of proportion or exactly what it looked like? If the story made you uncomfortable, hit that like button, because that means it did its job. Subscribe to Hood Files, because situations like this don't end quietly, they resurface. And turn on notifications, because when the next detail leaks, and it always does, you'll hear it here first. This isn't gossip. This is how downfalls begin. And the story, it's far from over.